Hello and welcome to a 2019 preview of the RBC Canadian Open. I had said during the review of the Memorial that I'd have an intro and then I'd have graphics. Unfortunately, I do not. I didn't have the time to do it, so I apologize. I will have them by the US Open. And at this time, I'm guessing promises don't really mean anything because I have said many things in the past that I said I would do and I just didn't get to them. So I'm not going to make any promises. I do want to get them then. I want to get them as quick as possible. Hopefully this weekend I'll be able to work on that kind of stuff. So it's my quick little housekeeping note. I'm not going to talk more about that. We are at the Hamilton Golf and Country Club. It's the first time since 2012 that this golf course has hosted the Canadian Open, and at that time, Scott Piercy won the tournament. He is in the field, so he's really there are a few golfers that have course history. I'm not really going to look into the course history this week. We also have Jim Furyk, who won it in 2006, and there are some other golfers who won it before, but they're not in the field. So it's been played here 4 times since like 1998 or something like that. The grass type here is POA, so we'll be looking at POA splits. It is one of the shortest golf courses on tour. It's pretty, I mean, it rivals kind of the RBC Heritage, but this course doesn't have forced layup shots like the RBC Heritage does. That course is, I mean, this is a tree line golf course, but that one, a lot of the dog legs kind of force you to hit it in certain spots. So really, I'm going to be targeting good ball strikers, and distance isn't going to really matter to me. It'll be probably good ball strikers, great POA splits, and birdie or better percentage is going to be high because this is going to be a low scoring affair. I mean, it's a par 70 golf course. I think people are, I mean, your champion is probably going to be 23 to 25 under. So we're going to see the DraftKings scoring bonus hit. Um, but we want golfers who can keep pace. We don't really necessarily want grinder golf, grinded out golfers. But we do want people that'll give our themselves a good chance at birdie. And another thing to mention, the greens are postage stamps. I mean, I've heard that being referred to quite a bit. I do listen to PGA Tour radio, so I do listen to what they have to say about this golf course. They say the greens are small. They also say they have a lot of false fronts in the front of the greens. So it would be, one person had mentioned that it might be more beneficial to come in with a 7-iron to these greens as opposed to a wedge, because wedge might create too much spin and it might spin off. I think they said the rough is also going to be kind of penal this year. So we want our accuracy guys that can score really low, and so I'll be focusing on that. It also is going to be playing soft because they did get a lot of rain this spring. I did hear that as well. So again, I think people who have good control of the golf ball, those are the golfers we're gonna want to highlight. So I had said we're going to look at ball strikers. We're going to look at POA splits and birdie or better percentage. We're also going to be looking at the bucket system, which if you've been following along, you're going to understand what that. You already know what that is. And I'll go through it really quick. Now, typically the Canadian Open is played a week after the British Open. And the British Open, on the other side of that, the PGA hosts an event, an alternate event called the Barbasol Championship. So I wasn't sure if I should include the Barbasol Championship in the last week's stats, so I chose not to. I'm gonna kind of treat it like I'm going to treat the Barbasol much like I treat European tournaments, and I don't even include them in my last week stats or the last week bucket. So that is what this matrix here, this includes the PGA alternate event. The one down here does not. So we're going to go by this. I just want to quickly go over this. I explain this way too much throughout most of my videos. Essentially, we are going to be targeting, I mean, we have a really good core of I should say we have a really good minimum. Like this is a very high confidence rating for us of golfers who did not play the year before. So I'm going to be targeting golfers who did not play the year before. I'm also going to be targeting golfers who finished inside the top 20. I'll have at least one of those. I'll have at least two of golfers who did not play. So that right away starts out my lineups with 3 golfers. I'll probably just mix and match the rest of them. Going down to so that's the top 5. That kind of anchors my lineup. Coming down here, the min max for that did not play is 1 to 5. The min max for getting inside the top 20. Oh, that's last week. Sorry. We're down here. Last year is 3 to 5, 3 to 7, and then it's 2s all the way across the board. So I mean, you could literally set up most of your lineups with 1s and 2s and then sprinkle in whoever else. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. Last week, we see a lot of people with success at this tournament not playing the week before. This includes that alternate event. So if they did play the alternate event, they are included in this did not play. I know it's probably not what you want here. But again, like I said, I'm treating it as a European event, so I'm not going to count it. But definitely the did not play the week before, one of the higher numbers. Then you have the top 20, and that's interesting that that's rated as a 3. It's just the amount of people within that range compared to those who missed the cut the year before. So really, those are the ranges. Did not play last week. Did not, I had said the year before, I meant the week before. So did not play the week before, got a 20th or better the week before, or missed the cut. So you want to focus around those types of golfers. The rest of them are just kind of, I mean, you can play them, obviously. So that's my quick rundown of the buckets there. I do want to go over the combinations really quickly. Just want to say right away, the only thing you see in every single week is a 1-1. And usually when you see those high numbers and that high of a confidence rating when it comes to that, you typically want to choose those golfers. So I'll be looking at 1-1s. I'll also be looking at 2-1s and 3-1s. I will fluctuate with the last week column, but it's just not something I'm going to really care about. So that was quicker than typical, than normal, I should say. We're going to get into the DK page, but I do want to say before we get into that, a buddy of mine wanted me to try out a blind test. So we're going to go through, we're going to look at the blind test, go through the stats that I had already mentioned earlier, we're going to go through the buckets, and I'm going to choose 5 golfers. Actually, now we'll start with bucket 6 from last year, and then work our way down to 1 to see if we can find decent golfers. I already kind of tried doing this on my own, and I was sitting there thinking about who I wanted to play. So thinking about how that's going to look on the video, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to select a bunch of golfers that we like without knowing their name. We're just looking at the stats, and then we'll unveil them later and see who we picked or who I'm on. I already have it sorted, so we already see this, but we're not going to go with the 1s quite yet. We're going to go with the 6s. See if we like anyone in the 6s. I would just want to check POA splits. This is one of the more important things to me, so right away, let's just put an asterisk next to him, say that we're interested in him and interested in him. Last week I did say I really like golfers who have who finish inside the top 10 in at least 7% of their POA events or better, and I'm going to stick to that this week as well. Just want to check to see if we have any approach stats we can look at to see if we can find anyone. Off the tee doesn't really matter. So approach and birdie, it's not really, I don't like that. This person right here, we'll put an asterisk next to him because we do like the 3. And these rankings here are in the field this week. So that is something to keep track of or keep in mind. It looks like we already like this guy, and I don't really like that guy. We're not going to choose that. So we've got our 3 in bucket 6. So that was quick. Let's get to 5. Let's see what we like in bucket 5. Let's sort by the top 10%. Birdie or better is pretty awful. Around the green is pretty good. Approach is pretty good. I don't know who this golfer is. Green and reg is 64%. And birdie, we're going to pass on that guy. He does have 40 events, so that's interesting, and he has a clip of making the top 10 in 20% of those events. That's insane. And he's 66 to 1. Dang, I kind of want to know who that is. I don't like his value. I don't like his points per game. What else can we even get on this guy? We're going to say no. I'm going to pass on that. I don't like the 5-5 already. I don't like the birdie or better. Approach is pretty decent. We're going to skip on that guy. We're going to skip on this guy. And I think we're going to just say yes to these two. Just seeing the POA splits, the approach, and the birdie or better. We'll just go with those guys, and we'll unveil them later. So we've got 2 from that range. Go to our 4s. We don't have many 4s. That's crazy. Birdie or better is not very good. Approach, not the greatest. $8,800. Value is not the greatest. But I do like that green and reg, so we're going to put an asterisk next to him and say we like that. 69 is just not that great for birdies. Like, we want someone to be able to keep up. And mind you, I always look at these, I call these swing metrics. Someone's swing could be on, someone's putter could be on, and these stats don't really matter. And likewise, the opposite could happen too. So don't really so much care. I mean, we're just doing this for the blind test for the sake of that. I don't really like many 4s, so I'm not going to go with that. This guy has decent tournament history. Really, the best value is down here. Someone who has 0% success at POA events, finishing inside the top 10. And he's 500 to 1. Yeah, we'll skip. So we got 1 person in this range. It's not big to begin with, but it's interesting. I'm sure this guy here is probably going to be worth playing. I don't really like that clip. He doesn't hit the ball that close. He is average, or he's on tour. He's average. He's absolute average. Yeah, we'll skip it. Not going to waste our time anymore going through that. So now we get to our 3s. It's a fairly large number, or a large range of golfers. Well, right away, this guy who's at the top, we know that's Dustin with that price tag. Of course, we're gonna like him. I mean, look at his stats. Everything looks super good. Let's see, approach. So I think we're gonna avoid these guys. We're just gonna say we like this. I mean, that's pretty mediocre. We'll just put that there. Maybe for the sake of the video, we're not going to like this guy, although I'm curious as to whom it is. At 89 and at 40 to 1, those are pretty good odds. You know, yeah, let's go ahead and put an asterisk there. So now, basically, anyone. How did we sort this? Why is it sorted this way? Oh, I know why it was the last week. So anyways, this guy seems pretty decent. We're probably going to like everyone here. Don't like that. Approach and birdie are better. POA's decent, although his overall seems like a pretty volatile player. We'll put him down just because he's at 7,100. It's all about differentiating your lineup, so that's what we're going to go with. Here we get down to some interesting golfers. we'll just put an asterisk next to both of these guys. Probably just keep it at that. I'm going to be intrigued to see who we passed on, who are in the yellows, but yeah, we'll just keep it there. We don't want to spend too much time on this. Let's go to our twos. Pretty small number, and we want at least one of these, so that's what helps. This is probably what whoever I like the most here is who I'm going to probably anchor my lineups around. And I guess, oh, that 11-7 was not DJ. Maybe that was Rory. This is DJ. Man, that's dangerous because obviously DJ is a favorite at this course. Let's see, anybody else worth a damn? I like the approach stats here. We'll just give him a like really quick. Probably just give him a like as well. No stats here, which probably means he's a European golfer. I am curious as to whom this is as well. Post splits aren't bad. He's got enough under his belt. I think we're just going to choose it. He's a 2-1, so that's also favorable. Anyone else? No, I'm not. I don't like anyone that I'm seeing, so that keeps that range pretty small, which is pretty good because again, we want at least one of those golfers. And now we get to like this is the worst. I mean, there's so many ones, and there's so many ones because these golfers are, well, they're at the bottom of the list. These guys qualified. These are probably your average Joes who, well, they qualified just like the U.S. Open. These guys qualified all around. I don't know if there's any qualification like qualifiers that are in the States. I'm not sure if this is just strictly for Canada or if, like the US Open, you can qualify in Europe or you can qualify in the States. I'm not sure if there's any Canadian locations that you can qualify at. Interesting to know. I'm not sure. But anyways, I can tell you most of the golfers on here have Canadian names. So I'm guessing a lot of these are just regular Canadians that qualified for the Canadian Open. So really, we could probably X out all of these guys here. I mean, if we go to the recent form tab, you're not going to see many of these guys even in the top. I mean, these guys have 0 stats going back to 2013 of POA splits. So this is probably the first time we're seeing these golfers, more likely. They don't have anything else. Looks like these 3 golfers have golfed at this Open before. Obviously, they don't have good stats, so we're just gonna choose not to. I'm gonna start at the bottom now that I look at this, only because I saw this number right here. 0%, not gonna do it. All these that are 0, you know what? We're going to also let's just X out these guys who have terrible overall stats. Anyone that's kind of orange or better, we're going to keep those guys. This way we can trim down the fat per se and really focus on the golfers that have decent post splits. Should have came prepared, huh? Oh well. This is pretty much how I do the process, folks. All right, let's get rid of the X's. We don't want to see them. Now we're stuck with this. Much more reasonable, much more manageable. And now we can really focus on the splits. So right away, 11-2, we like that. I'm not sure who that is. We like this guy. Like, these are phenomenal stats. The top 10 percentage, pretty darn good. We have the top ranked approach player, not very good with his birdie or better. I'm thinking this is Scott Piercy. I'm not positive on that, but Oh man, the value's not good. We're gonna skip on him. If it is Scott Piercy, I will play some of him, but just for the fact of this, we're kind of trying to create a core, so we'll skip that guy. I'm just gonna cherry pick and come down here. Let's choose this guy, just because of the birdie better. The approach isn't the greatest, but the green and reg isn't the greatest either. That's fine. I like his values decent. Ooh, this is a good. This seems like a pretty decent golfer at 8,400. Same with this guy down here at 67. Dang. Oh, 0%. Now that's a conundrum because he's only played 3 events. His average, it looked like all 3 events were played this year. So I'm not sure who that is, but that's no bueno. 66 to 1 odds. Who is this guy? Birdie or better is not very good. Approach is not very good. Off the tee is pretty decent. 65% isn't too bad. Proximity is awful. We can't do this. Can't go with this guy. Let's actually look at proximity, because if these are small greens, we probably want some of these top guys that hit the ball pretty close. These clips aren't too bad. I like the top 10 percentage. I like the post splits for the price. It's not bad. Same goes. That's pretty good. The shots gained are pretty much in the middle, so we'll go with him as well. At 6,700, that's pretty good. Let's see what our birdie or better percentage gets us. Well, this is an interesting guy. We'll like him as well. All right, let's see who we ended up going on. I'm going to take all the filters off, except for the X's, actually. We'll keep the X's on. Select all. We'll sort it by salary. And then let's unhide these. So we'll sort by this, and let's see the golfers we like. This is pretty interesting. I'm going right down to the bottom. Alex Prue and Josh Teeter. I've heard good things about Josh Teeter. I can't remember who really was talking about him, but said that this guy has some good game. So he might be a bullet to play. Very interesting. Brandon Harkins is typically a pretty decent birdie or better player. I guess I'm interested in knowing or seeing that he has decent post splits. I feel like he's more of a Bermuda golfer. Nick Taylor is a Canadian, a 6'1". That's pretty interesting. We don't see many 6s, but he might be worth playing. I'll say this: out of these 6s that we chose, I'll play one of them. I won't have more than one in a lineup, and I don't know how often I'm going to play a 6, so that kind of shortens it all up. But this is really interesting. I mean, I like seeing Sergio there. Again, we have nothing but POA success. We looks like we passed on golfers like Webb Simpson, Henrik Stenson. I'm not huge on Daniel Berger. I do like Lucas Beauregard. His post splits just aren't good, so that stinks. We do have good post splits here with Eric Van Rooyen, and I'm going to play him because I like him. I also like Graham McDowell. I think this is a golf course that's going to suit him pretty well. Why I didn't choose him, I guess, well, obviously must be within the stats that we chose. You know what? I'm going to put an asterisk next to his name because those aren't bad stats. They just didn't pop out. So just want to let you guys know that these are golfers that subjectively I like. I'm fine with, fading some of these golfers. Probably not Henrik. I think Henrik's short game, this is a perfect golf course for Henrik. He does not need to hit a driver. He can just bomb his 3-wood out there, and most of the time he doesn't even have to hit his 3-wood. He's been hitting his irons really well this year. It's just whether or not can he make the putts. And his putting has been pretty suspect. His putting has been suspect his whole career, but he did have a resurgence where his putting was really good, and it has fallen by the wayside a little bit. So I'm gonna put an asterisk next to his name because I do like him, and I will be playing some of him. Interesting to pass up on Webb. Webb has some. Didn't mean to do that. Let's see. Let's go back. Webb has some decent stats. They're good. So I guess I have to put Webb in. He is a 1-1, so he's just we'll go there. But I mean, I guess prior to we picked 25 golfers. That's not a bad core or a bad pool of players to choose from. We have all different types of colors in here. I'll probably go through this, and honestly, when I create these lineups, I will probably try to choose some kind of core amongst these golfers, throw them in a spreadsheet, and then just substitute players as I go down that aren't asterisk. And that's my way of kind of randomizing it. So we'll do that. It'll be interesting to see if I can make any Rory Dustin lineups. I kind of like that. It's nice to see Brooks is up there because I think, for whatever reason, I think Brooks might go under-owned, or he might. I don't know. I don't hear much talk about Brooks, so I don't know what the public's gonna do. Not that I care. I don't really care about ownership percentage. I do understand that you can leverage off of ownership percentage, and if you don't hit the optimal lineup, which is what I try to do every week, is try to hit the optimal lineup. If you don't and you leverage the correct way, that offers the greatest return. So I get why people care about ownership. I don't. I'm always searching for the optimal lineup, and the optimal lineup, if you have it, you're gonna win. So that's kind of my feeling on it. That's how I go with it. I like seeing Sung Jae in there. Palmer as well. He's a really good player. It's interesting to see Shane Lowry, but I'm kind of glad that I see Shane because I probably wouldn't play him, honestly. And I like seeing Bubba. I think this is a good golf course for Bubba. Anything that can keep his focus inside, a boundary. Like I always think tree line golf courses are perfect for Bubba because he can actually narrow his focus as opposed to seeing a wide open course and trying there is something to be said when you narrow your focus. You don't full swing. You don't, keep the throttle open. You play a more controlled golf swing, and it gets you better accuracy. So I like Bubba. He doesn't really spin his wedges too much, unlike Rory at the Memorial last week, missing the cut because he did that. Yeah, I'm going to choose some kind of mix of these players and go with it. So hopefully this helped you out. Dave, I hope this was enjoyable for you, and I hope I didn't stall too much as I was talking about this. I know my first go around was that way, so yeah, I'm interested to hear you guys' feedback, and hopefully you guys find success using this or doing this. Again, for the U.S. Open, I'm hoping to have just about everything set up that is ripping and roaring to go. So with this, I am going to leave you. I'm just going to leave it at that. Good luck this week, guys, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. See you later.